Good morning. I want to share something with you about me that I think that you will be able to identify with because for many years I lived my life in a very unhealthy way. And it took a big change in my life before I realized that I was on a path of destruction. So for 40 years of my life, I lived um, a very emotional life, which means I responded to things in my life first in an emotional manner. I would either like lose it on the situation or I would just avoid it. And it was because really of some toxic things that I had went through in my life, and I never really got the correct uh, help that I need to deal with those things. So I lived a lot of the first 40 years of my life, like I would say, on fumes, basically ready to explode or ready to walk away from it. And I remember one day in my car, I was driving to work, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I got a message on my phone, and I just lost it. I was driving, um, and I was doing the in my mind the walk away from it thing. I'm just gonna avoid it. And as I was you know, doing this avoidance thing inside of me, I felt like this little electrical something in my head. Like I felt like I was damaging something. And I was like, whoa, I remember shaking my head and I was like, nah, I can't do this no more. I can't live like this anymore. I got to learn how to do, some healthy evaluations, some healthy expressions. And I just didn't know how to do it. So I lived a lot of my life on fumes. Like whatever happens, happens. If I get through it, I get through it. If I don't, I don't. Just move on to the next situation. But now my life is so much different. For 16 years now, I don't live on fumes. I live on hope. And before you step away, it's not the hope that you think. It's not that type of hope that we see in the world, this type of hope where, well, I hope it happens, or, I don't, if it happens, it happens. I'm hoping that it does. But if it don't, then that's okay. It's not that type of hope. It is an expected hope. Like that it's going to come to pass. See, that is what happened when I gave my life to Christ. Now I don't have to live my life on fumes. And I want to share with you the importance of this hope and why we should share it with others. So, there's a book in the Bible, First Peter chapter 3, verse 15, that says that we should be able to share with others about the reason that we have this hope inside of us. And we should be able to share it with kindness and with respect. And there's a reason for that. Could you imagine living your life, your entire life, hopeless? But could you also imagine running into one person that shares with you about the hope that they have, about the things that they have went through, and about how Jesus helped to pull them out? It could change their life forever. Let me give you um, an example of something here. So my husband is a retired professional boxer. And there's something that he told me about boxers that I will never ever forget, especially legendary boxers. He told me this. He says a great boxer knows that there's two things that they need when they get in the ring. Number one is passion. And number two is the knowledge and skill of the game. He says that great boxers know that they will never ever win a fight without those two things, because those two things create that hopeful, expected, they know like they know like they know end for them. The end that says they're going to win. And when he told me that, I said, that's the same concept that we need when we live our lives. Not just living it with knowledge and understanding, but also living it with passion. Because that combo creates that hopeful, expected end. Like you know that something is going to come to pass. See, that's why my life was changed forever. Because when I encountered Jesus, I encountered that combo, that passion, that compassion, that sympathy for me, the sinner. I encountered the understanding that I needed to get by in my day-to-day living. See, Jesus isn't just isolated to Sundays or when we go to church. His word is there to help us to live our everyday life. And not only that, he shows you the skills that you have, that he's imparted inside of you. He introduces you to the gifts that you have. And then he trains you on those things. And with that, you know, like you know in your heart, that the things that God has for you are going to come to pass. Because you're, number one, living in the passion of Christ. You're living in the understanding of Christ. You're living in the abilities and the giftings of Christ. How could you lose? It felt so good to turn my life from fumes to a hopeful life. And when we share that with others who may be in a hopeless situation, or who may have a hopeless mindset, or someone who may have doubt right now, it changes their lives. So remember that. The hope that you have in your heart can change someone's life. Because the hope that Jesus had in his heart for me changed my life forever. Y'all be blessed.